Well, it's something a lot of us struggle with, keeping up that work-life balance. How do we get our work done on time while still making time for ourselves?
It's an increasingly important topic. Here to share some insight on the matter is author and life coach David Essel. Good morning, David. Thanks for being here.
Guys, it's so great to be with you. And, you know, the very first thing I'm going to say is this, and this should take a lot of stress off people. Living a perfectly balanced life is impossible. So let's not even go there. It's not possible at all. As a matter of fact, Gloria Steinem, a number of years ago at a lecture, gave the most incredible advice. At the end of it, this woman came up and said, is it really possible to have it all, to live an incredibly balanced life, you know, where your kids are behaving and you're making the money you want and you're happy with your body, your relationship and everything? And Gloria Steinem steps up to the microphone and everyone is like quiet as a mouse, and she goes, yes. And then half the audience that's type A freak out and go, oh my gosh, we can have it all. And then the other half goes, oh my Lord, I'm so far behind the eight ball, it'll never happen to me. And then she leans back with the most important message that we could share today. Yes, you can have it all, but it will never be at the same time. Be at peace with that. And I think that's a great way to start this segment, guys.
David, could you tell us how the pandemic has maybe influenced folks' work-life balance?
Well, it's totally thrown us into chaos. You know, I mean, we're not used to being at home locked into cages, you know, of our own house. I mean, we sleep there, we eat there, and then all of a sudden, you know, we're thrown into that. For people who are extroverts, this is really damaging. You know, those individuals that need that social interaction on a daily basis, that totally throws off their complete balance in life. The introverts can get by for a while, but then they also miss that social interaction. But, you know, when we talk about work-life balance, we look at it, guys, a little differently. We say remove first, add second. So before you're trying to live this incredibly, impossibly balanced life, what do we need to let go of? What kind of habits or thoughts? You know, are we watching too much television? Are we on social media too much? Are we drinking or eating too much? Like, work-life balance begins with self-care. So the very first thing we teach people, and we actually have a program, Executives and Entrepreneurs School for Work-Life Balance, and when we talk to them and teach them, we say, let's remove these things first. You know, is there too much time put on stock market, too much time on video games, on your phone, whatever it might be? In order to become more balanced in life, we need to remove first, and unfortunately, the pandemic has really increased a lot of bad habits amongst people. You know, when you're at home and your boss isn't over your shoulder, there's all kinds of things we can get away with. And so all of a sudden now, as society comes back to normal and we're going back into the workplace, that can be really altering in regards to balance. And then we've got the schools starting up again, which alters balance. So the very first thing we say with work-life balance is remove those habits, thoughts, behaviors that aren't healthy. That'll open up space for more time for the real balance, which is you know, taking care of your mind and body and exercise, meditation, prayer, eating clean. All those things create work-life balance.
You know, David, along those lines about coming back to work from the pandemic, you know, what are some strategies to make sure that, you know, we find time for ourselves, but at the same time, we don't feel like we're ignoring our work?
Yeah. Well, I think, Steve, you know, one of the golden hours that everyone talks about is first hour of the morning, you know, and that's really where I think we need to be focusing for our work-life balance. So when people come back to work and they feel that obligation to be there 6, 8, 10 hours a day, and then they're saying, I don't have time for me, the morning is where we find our time. As a matter of fact, you know, Steve, you and I have talked about this before in the past. We believe in my consulting and coaching practice that the first hour of every day should be electronic free. This is perfect for work-life balance, what we're talking about. Use that first hour for your meditation or journaling or exercise or the things that you say you don't have time for during the day or at the end of the day. This will help us transition back into the workforce, but at the same time, taking care of us. Our most valuable asset is you.
So you talked a little bit about, you know, using the morning time strategically, and also what can we remove? I'm a working parent and I'm overwhelmed. Where do I start? How do I figure out what I can get rid of first?
Okay, this is such a great question. A number of years ago, I had a single mom with 2 children, and she was working 60 hours a week, and she contacted me and said, David, you know, I really need some kind of balance in my life, but there's no way in the world. I'm a single mom. I've got 2 kids, 6 and 8. They come home from daycare. I get home about 6 o'clock. We feed, we take baths. If there's any type of homework, we do that. I'm exhausted. So then my question was, what do you do with your free time afterwards? And she said, well, I've only got 2 hours a day. I sit on the couch and watch TV. Okay, that's an option. But what would bring you joy? If you just took 30 minutes of those 2 hours in front of the TV, what would bring you joy? And she started laughing and said, oh my God, playing my piano again. Do you have a piano? Yes. Is it in the house? Yes. Is it away from the kids' rooms where you could play at night, put a towel underneath the door? And she looked at me and said, oh my Lord, I never thought about it. Those 30 minutes turned her life around. As crazy as that sounds, she loved the piano so much. She missed it. So to answer your question, what do we love that we're not doing? And can we take 30 minutes or an hour in the evening in order to do that, to fill our heart and soul, even with the responsibility of children and work and everything else? And I think that's a question we need to ask ourselves. The pandemic has thrown away a lot of our known habits and positive habits and positive hobbies. So is there something we can bring back that would fulfill us? Maybe not take 2 or 3 hours a day, of course, if we don't have it. But then it's up to our discipline to be able to follow through and take care of ourselves, because self-care is a huge missing part of work-life balance.
David, great advice, as always. We appreciate you coming on such an important topic. Have a great day. Thanks for sharing that advice with us.
I always love being with you guys, and hello to everyone in Syracuse, New York, and upstate New York. Miss you all. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you, David. And to learn more about David Essel and the life coaching advice he has to offer, you can visit his website at davidessel.com.